Muy buenas tardes, mis amigos, mis estudiantes. Gracias por su paciencia. Sí, son las 3 ahora y yo estoy haciendo este video, sí, para ustedes. La clase hoy se trata de conversaciones básicas y nuestro objetivo hoy, hay 3 objetivos. Lo más importante es número 2. Puedo reconocer la diferencia entre una conversación formal y una conversación informal. ¿Sí? Pero primero, clase, hay una prueba. The quiz on the weekly vocab. Remember, words that I'm choosing each week. I'm keeping a running list on Canvas. I think I sent an email out to everybody. Hay 8 palabras, hay 8 preguntas on this quiz. If you don't do well, there'll be 10 more words for next week. Y por si acaso, si necesitan saber dónde están, si vayan a Canvas, aquí en Canvas, el viernes puse aquí Vocab Words of the Week. Oh, aquí están, mira, Vocab Words of the Week. No sé si puedo marcar con algo, pero no importa. Vocab Words of the Week. Aquí está la lista. Entonces, para semana 3, if you don't do well this week, there will be 10 more words for next week. In fact, I'm already starting to put some. If you look at the green, el verde, semana 3, week 3. I've already got the words going, so by Friday, this list will be done, and that'll be our quiz for next week. So, por favor, en Canvas, aquí está, quiz, vocab week 2, aquí está. So it's 5-minute timer. So take that quiz right now. Sí, les lleva al quiz. Okay, aquí está. Y ustedes pueden hacerlo. Ahora, para continuar con la clase. Bueno, en la clase nosotros practicamos esta conversación. Entonces, conmigo, yo voy a ser persona A en rojo. Y tú puedes ser la persona B en azul, ¿sí? Practica conmigo, ¿sí? Buenos días, ¿cómo te llamas? Me llamo señor Hudson. Mucho gusto. Hasta luego. Sí, clase, es muy importante practicar con su voz. It's very important to practice with your voice. There's that discomfort level when you're going to speak Spanish to someone in real life. Like, oh man, I know what to say, but I've never said it and it's awkward and it's tense. We want to just say things as much as we can so that discomfort level gets as low as it can be. Trust me on that one, okay? Even for people that speak Spanish, if they go for long periods of time, they haven't used it, it's like, starting back up again. It's like that clunkiness. So get used to just saying stuff so it's easier in real life. Okay. Hay diferentes formas, diferentes maneras de introducirse en diferentes países. Por ejemplo, en los Estados Unidos damos un apretón de manos. En Argentina ellos se dan un beso. Y en España dan 2 besos. Ahora, lo que dije a la clase, what I said to my class, is in Spanish, if you learn 1 word, you might as well learn 2 words or 3 words. So, last time we talked about verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR. Okay, if you don't remember that, go back to last week. There were a few videos. Un apretón is a grasp of the hand or a squeeze of the hand. It's like a noun. It's like a squeeze of the hand. If we take apretón and we change it to apretar, add that AR, apretar significa to squeeze or to grasp. It's the verb. Same with un beso. Un beso, that is a kiss. But if we change it to besar, it becomes to kiss. It's the verb. And then we can conjugate that to say I kiss, you kiss, he or she kisses, okay? Same with apretar. So you'll notice these words can turn into verbs and change into nouns if we modify the ending. So just be looking for that. Ok, la pregunta del día. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Estás viene de la palabra estar y voy a cambiar esto aquí a estar. Okay. Nuestro primer ejemplo de conjugación. This is going to be an example of conjugation. El verbo estar significa to be. Okay? Significa to be, but only for emotions, emociones, sentimientos, feelings, or ubicación. Ubicación significa location. So we only use estar when we're talking about emotions, like feelings or locations, okay? So feelings or locations, otherwise known as things that are temporary states of being. Okay, so if we remember our pronouns, now we're going to see this chart a lot, so kind of quiz in your head. We've got 6 pronouns in English and in Spanish. This first column here, 1, 2, 3, these are going to be our singular, and the second column are going to be the plural people. And this first row is going to be first person, second row is second person, and third row is third person. So this will make more sense. Necesito cambiar las letras. We, con paciencia, you, you all, he, she, or it, inanimate objects, like if the fan does something weird, or the class starts. That's what we use it for, like inanimate objects. Last we have they. Okay? In inglés son los pronombres. These are pronouns. Son súper importantes. Okay? En español, I es yo, tú es tú, or you is tú, y she, si recuerdo, él, ella, and we have usted, which does not mean it. That is the formal way of saying you. It is a polite way of saying you. And we will go over that in a second. So that's kind of our goal today. Pero quiero hacer la tabla más grande. Perfecto. We, nosotros, you all, vosotros, vosotros, Spain only. They only use that in España. A ver, lo voy a hacer más pequeño. Solo en España. Y de, ellos, ellas. We also have ustedes. Okay? Ellos is para chicos. Ellos, a group of boys. Or it can also be all girls and one boy, and they'd still say ellos. If it's all girls, ellas. Ustedes is another way of saying you all, that they only use in other parts of Latin America that are not Spain. So Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, they're going to say ustedes, meaning you all. And in Spain, they'll say vosotros. Okay? Entonces, estar, el verbo estar, we're going to conjugate it. So if you remember from last week, the first thing we do is we take off the ending. So this happens to be an AR verb. There are ER verbs, IR verbs. This is a regular verb. Es un verbo regular, excepto en la forma yo. So here's our yo form. So it's going to be regular, except for in the yo form. And I will tell you more about what that means. Right now, I just want you guys to see what's happening. I don't want you to worry about memorizing every single ending of the verbs yet. So we're going to actually, first and foremost, vamos a quitar the AR. So whenever you see a verb, the most common thing you do to change it, if you want to change it from to be to I am, or you are, or he is, you want to see how it changes in English. To change it in Spanish, we're going to take off those last 2 letters, and then it follows a pattern. This becomes yo estoy, and it is irregular because that Y usually is not there. That's the only thing that makes it odd, but then from there, it follows a pattern that you guys can remember. Say with me, o, as, a, amos, an. O, Has, a. Now you notice, O, here's the O. Has, a, nosotros, estamos, amos, and el último, están. An. O, as, a, amos, an. That is your pattern for regular verbs. Now, vosotros, I skip it a lot because it is Spain, but they're going to say estáis. ¿Cómo estáis vosotros? ¿Sí? But otherwise, o, as, a, amos, an. Okay? Now, when I say regular verb, that means I could change this to any verb. It could be bailar, to dance. And so what we would do, we'd get rid of the AR. And if you want to say I dance, I'd say yo bailo. There's the O. You dance, tú bailas. He or she dances, ella baila. Okay, or I could put hablar, to speak, and it's going to be those same 6 endings. Okay, you just have to remember which person is doing the talking. Sorry, I should be changing this. Bear with me. This is the best way I can do without. Maybe I'll give you guys whiteboard next time. Será más fácil. Okay, hablar significa to talk. But we're not doing that right now. We're just doing to be, estar. Es un verbo importante. So estar, to be, for temporary things. So we use this for feelings and location. So if I want to say, I'm in class, I'd say yo estoy en la clase. If I want to say, I am happy, yo estoy feliz. If I want to see if you all are happy, I'd say, ustedes están felices? Ustedes están felices? Are you all happy? See? If I want to say, we are happy, nosotros estamos felices. Again, all this right side is plural, so any adjective in Spanish is going to become plural as well. So if it's plural person, the adjective's plural. For what's an example? It would be better with ser. So let's talk about ser. You guys might be in the back of your mind thinking, hey, something's up here. Wasn't there another word that meant to be? Sí. El verbo es ser, but ser is going to be more for titles and traits, or things that are more permanent. Permanent. Yep. Sí. Cosas permanentes. Cosas, there's an example. So cosas permanentes are things that are permanent. So one thing that's permanent is una cosa permanente. 2 things that are permanent, cosas permanentes. You should add the S on the adjectives. We don't do that in English. We don't say, hand me the blues markers. We just say, hand me the blue markers. Pero en español, we say, pásame los marcadores azules. Hand me the blues markers, or the markers that are blue. Blues, yeah. Sí. Bueno, entonces, ser, you're like, wait, didn't we talk about to be? Ser, when we said like, yo soy de Utah. Tú eres de California. Doing this video, guys, I'm realizing there's things that I'm going to try to get you more direct, like teaching. So, nosotros somos, vosotros sois, y ustedes son. Okay? This is what we call irregular verb, because we don't just take the ER. Remember, on a regular verb, we take the last 2 letters, like we did with the star. Oh, oops. With a star, we just took the last 2 letters off and then slapped these endings on. O, as, a, amos, an. We like regular verbs. Irregular verbs, you kind of just have to memorize them case by case, and we're going to go into more specific, like the most important irregular verbs for Spanish 1, we will do in the coming weeks. For now, these are ones that are describing like I am, you are, very, very common, very important. Like we're going to talk about to have, to be, and to go a lot. 3 really important ones, and they kind of are all irregular actually. So we're mixing some irregulars with the regular for Spanish 1, but it's just they're so important. So now Looking at these two, okay? Why did I bring this up when talking about formal versus informal? So, ¿cómo estás? I'm asking you, how, ¿cómo estás? How are you? ¿Cómo estás? You can say, estoy. Now notice, here's my conjugation, yo estoy. So, yo estoy bien. Yo estoy mal. Yo estoy enojado. Estoy enojado. Estoy así, más o menos. Estoy cansado. Estoy emocionado. Estoy, estoy enfermo. Enfermo, you see an English word that, you think of an English word that looks like this? Think of infirmities or infirmary, somewhere where sick people go, or sicknesses, infirmities. Enfermo. So that's an example of what we'd say for feeling. So, ¿cómo estás? That is the to form. So going back to this, I'm saying ¿cómo estás? I'm talking to you. What you have to know about you, the to form. This is informal or for like close friends. Oh my goodness, for close friends. Okay, es informal, es para amigos. See. Now, if I were to instead ask you, I'm going to change this slide here. ¿Cómo está usted? If I said, ¿cómo está usted? Y voy a quitar qué tal. ¿Cómo está usted? That is how we're going to speak, asks how someone is in the formal way. So here's usted. It is just the polite way of saying you. We don't really have this in English unless you count the words thee and thou. Like, how art thou is like a very, very proper way of saying you. Usted is not like that in Spanish. It's not that strong. It's just more like, hey, how are you? I'm acknowledging I don't really know you and I'm just being polite. Okay, ¿cómo estás? When people would talk to me in like, ¿cómo estás? Or in the tú form, I was on a mission, so I was kind of used to speaking in the usted. We were very, very more formal with people. So people say, hey, ¿cómo estás? Or, ¿qué, cómo te llamas? I got so ingrained in the culture that I was kind of like, hey, you don't know me like that. Like, don't talk to me like that. Treat me like usted. So it is an interesting cultural thing that they have in Spanish that doesn't quite exist in English, which is cool. So, and this isn't just with estar. Like I was saying, ¿cómo te llamas? I'm just going to keep adding slides for you guys because this is just different online than in person. I can use my whiteboard. So this can be with different verbs like llamar is to call. So like, ¿cómo te llamas? You know, that's why we're going to, the as stays the same. Llamas, it's a regular verb. Llamas, llamo, llama. So if we're asking someone who's like the same age as us, or like we're kind of peers, or maybe it's like a younger sibling or like a dog, or we're being whatever, you use the two forms, like ¿cómo te llamas? Maybe it's a classmate. You say, hey, ¿cómo te llamas? You're kind of the same age, you're being friendly. ¿Cómo te llamas? Now let's say for me, teacher or the principal or somebody else older, you're being polite, you'd say, ¿cómo se llama usted? ¿Cómo se llama usted? Okay. Usted, you need to put the usted in there. Because if I just say, ¿cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? I don't know if you're talking about a he, a she, or if you're talking to me in the polite way. Okay. It can be either of the three. So if I say, ¿cómo se llama? You might be like, who? Who? My brother? Who are you talking about? Me? You need to say the usted. For llamas, you don't need to say tú because there's only one person it could be. If I conjugate as on the end, ¿cómo te llamas? There's only one person I could be talking to. It's you. Okay. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo está? You need usted. Rewind that. It's a lot of information. Okay. So there's your formal, informal. Vamos a practicar ahora. Oh, so ser and estar, I wanted to ask you guys. So if this is temporary, ser is titles. If you wanted to say, I am a student. I am a student. Which one would I use? Would I use estar? Or would I use ser. Okay. Is student more of a title or something about me that's permanent, or is it a temporary thing? Now, I ask you this one because it's a trick question. You might think, well, I'm not going to be a student forever, but right now you are like in the role of a student. It is something that describes you. So you're actually going to use ser. Okay, so now that you know, okay, I'm going to use ser. Now, which one of these six is for I? I am a student. Student is estudiante. You'd say, guess it. Say it out loud. Yo soy un estudiante. Correcto. Yo soy un estudiante. I'm a student. If I wanted to say, uh, we are tall. We are tall. Would I use estar? Would I use ser? Creo que es obvio. Es obvio, sí. Ser. Voy a usar ser. It's a trait. And now that you know it's ser, which one would I use for we are tall? Guess it. Say it out loud. Nosotros, oh, I'll tell you first. Tall is alto. And since it's plural people, alto is tall, we're actually going to say altos. Nosotros somos altos. We are tall. And if it's all girls who are tall, you'd actually say nosotras somos altas. Okay? Now some of you notice, well, why didn't this change? Why didn't the somos become somas? Because notice these are adjectives, or sorry, this is a pronoun, this is an adjective, but when it comes to verbs, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. Like verbs, depending on who it is, like those are always going to conjugate the same. So it doesn't matter if it's like we, a group of girls, or we, a group of boys, are doing an action, that's always going to be the ending. So for normal verb, amos. Okay. And you know what? While we're here, let's just do an ER verb. Comer significa to eat. I want to show you guys the difference. It's a different verb. This is also regular. Keep those straight. Regular. Basically, everything stays the same. So before it was o, as, a, amos, an. For this one, it's o, yo como, o, es, e, hemos, es, aim. So everything's the same endings except for you put e's instead of a. So yo como, I eat. Yo como McDonald's. Tú comes Burger King. You eat Burger King. Ella come Subway. She eats Subway. Nosotros comemos comida de la cafetería. We eat food from the cafeteria. Ustedes comen Dairy Queen. No sé. You all eat. Okay? IR verbs are actually the same endings as ER verbs, which is super nice. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. But if I wanted to say a verb like vivir, vivir, to live, casi tuvimos un visitante. I thought I had a visitor there. Vivir, to live, it's going to be the same ending. So vivo, vives, vive, vivemos, except for, sorry, they're all the same except for, I guess we will do it because we're here. Vives, they're all the same except for this one, vivimos. This one does have an I. Okay, remember, take off the last two letters, get rid of those, slap on the ending. So o, es, a, emos, that's the only different one. Emos, viven. Okay. All right, now everyone's confused and hates Spanish. Vamos a continuar. Vamos a continuar. La verdad, you guys can go through the rest of these by yourself. I just want you to be familiar with the adjectives. So we're gonna do more of it next time, practicing like informal versus formal conversations. So like with buddies or with like at an important meeting. So bueno, es todo hoy. Muchas gracias. Do the quiz on Canvas and do 50 XP of Duolingo. I sent that link out. I'm going to send a Canvas message. Hasta luego. Adios. Study the vocab words for next week. They're on Canvas. Week 3, semana 3. Keep up on those. Gracias.